The rain had a way of making everything look smaller, meaner, more hopeless. Sarah pressed her forehead against the cold glass of the hospital waiting room. Window? Watching droplets race each other down the pane while her world fell apart inside. 3 months ago, she'd been planning her daughter Emma's 7th birthday party. Now she was praying Emma would live to see it. The doctors said the experimental treatment was their last option, but insurance had denied the claim twice. $48,000. It might as well have been $48 million. She'd exhausted every possibility. The GoFundMe page had raised $1,100. Her parents had remortgaged their house to give her $8,000. She'd sold everything she owned worth selling, including her grandmother's wedding ring, the only thing she'd sworn she'd never part with. And still she was drowning, watching her baby girl grow weaker, each day while bureaucrats shuffled papers and pronounced judgments on whether her child's life was worth the cost. The woman who changed everything walked into that waiting room on a Thursday afternoon wearing scrubs, covered in cartoon penguins and carrying 2 cups of terrible hospital coffee. Sarah had seen her before, always moving through the pediatric oncology wing with a smile that seemed impossibly genuine, talking to frightened children like they were old friends, making them laugh when laughter seemed like a foreign language. "You look like you could use this more than me," the woman said, setting 1 cup beside Sarah. "I'm Rachel, by the way. Pediatric nurse. 3rd floor." Sarah tried to smile, tried to summon the energy for small talk, but her face crumpled instead. The kindness in a stranger's voice had somehow broken through the wall she'd built to keep functioning. Rachel sat down beside her without asking, without flinching at the tears, and waited. The story came pouring out. Emma, the leukemia, the treatment that could save her, the money they didn't have, the desperate, clawing fear that came with watching your child slip away while you stood helpless. Rachel listened to all of it, her hand finding Sarah's and holding tight. "I'm going to tell you something," Rachel said when Sarah finally ran out of words. "And I need you to hear me, really hear me. You're not alone in this. Not anymore." Sarah wanted to believe her. She wanted to believe in the kindness of strangers, in the possibility of miracles, in anything beyond the crushing weight of impossible odds. But hope was a luxury she couldn't afford anymore. Hope hurt too much when it died. Rachel stood up, squeezed Sarah's shoulder, and walked away. Sarah watched her go, grateful for the moment of compassion, but knowing nothing had really changed. Nothing could change. She'd learned that lesson over and over these past months. She was wrong. The next morning, Sarah's phone started ringing before dawn. Her brother, her college roommate, her former boss, people she hadn't spoken to in years, all asking the same question. "Is it true?" "About Emma?" Sarah's hand shook as she opened Facebook. The post had been shared 1,100 times. Rachel had written about meeting a mother in a hospital waiting room, about a little girl fighting for her life, about the astronomical cost of hope. But she hadn't just written about it. She'd started it, donating the first $500 herself with a challenge. "I'm a single mom. I work overtime to pay my bills. I can't save Emma alone. But maybe we can save her together." The comments section had exploded. Teachers pledging their lunch money for a week. Construction workers promising a day's wages. Teenagers babysitting for donations. A retired veteran in Oklahoma sent $50 with a note. "Spent 30 years fighting for our country. Fighting for one of our kids seems right." A woman in California, herself in remission from breast cancer, contributed $25. "Because someone helped me once, and this is how I pay it forward." By noon, they'd raised $12,000. By evening, $30,000. Sarah couldn't breathe, couldn't process the magnitude of what was happening. Complete strangers were choosing to care, to sacrifice, to believe that one child's life mattered enough to chip in what they could spare. But it was what happened next that shattered Sarah completely and put her back together in the same moment. A man named Marcus, a truck driver from Tennessee, had seen the post during a rest stop. His own son had died from leukemia 15 years ago. They hadn't had money for the experimental treatments then either. He'd carried that guilt, that what if, every single day since. He donated $15,000, everything he'd saved, for a new truck. "I couldn't save my boy," he wrote, "but maybe I can help save someone else's. Maybe that's how we heal, by making sure other parents don't have to live with the same regrets." The money came in waves. A church congregation in Iowa took up a special collection. A high school basketball team in Florida washed cars all weekend. A bookstore in Maine donated a percentage of their sales. People who had nothing to spare gave something anyway because Emma's fight had become their fight. Because in a world that often felt cruel and divided, here was something simple and true. A child needed help, and they could help her. Rachel showed up at Sarah's door 72 hours after that conversation, in the waiting room. "We did it," she said, tears streaming down her face. $48,312. Emma gets her treatment. Sarah collapsed into this stranger's arms, this angel who had somehow turned desperation into hope, isolation into community, one child's crisis into a testament of what humanity could be at its best. "Why?" she sobbed. "Why did you do this?" "You don't even know us." Rachel pulled back, her hands on Sarah's shoulders, her eyes fierce and gentle at once. "I lost my daughter 5 years ago," she said quietly. "Different cancer. Same impossible odds. Same feeling of drowning while the world kept spinning, and nobody helped us. We lost everything trying to save her, and we lost her anyway." Her voice cracked, but she pushed forward. "I couldn't save my Lily, but I work in that hospital every day, and I see parents like you fighting battles nobody should have to fight alone. I can't bring my daughter back, but maybe, in some small way, I can make sure other children have the chance she didn't. Maybe. That's how I keep loving her. By loving other people's children fiercely enough to fight for them." Sarah understood then that this wasn't just about money or treatment or even saving Emma's life, though God willing it would. This was about the invisible threads that connect us all, about the ways grief can transform into grace, about how brokenness can become the very thing that teaches us to mend what's broken in others. Emma started treatment the following Monday. Sarah held her hand through every moment, every needle stick, every wave of nausea, every small victory. And she carried with her the knowledge that thousands of people she'd never meet were carrying them too, sending prayers and good thoughts and holding space for a little girl's healing. 6 months later, Emma was in remission. Sarah framed the printout of that Facebook post, all 11,000 comments and shares, and hung it in Emma's room. On hard days when the fear crept back in, when the scans loomed, when the what-ifs threatened to overwhelm, Sarah would read through those comments. All those strangers who became family. All those individual acts of kindness that added up to a saved life. Rachel and Sarah met for coffee every Tuesday now. They'd created a foundation together, helping other families navigate the nightmare of pediatric cancer treatment costs. They called it Lily's Light, after Rachel's daughter, because sometimes the way we honor those we've lost is by becoming the light for others still fighting in the darkness. And Emma? She turned 7 3 weeks after starting treatment, celebrated at the hospital with nurses, wearing party hats and patients eating rainbow cake. When they asked her what she'd wish for if she could have anything in the world, she thought for a long moment, then smiled. "I wish," she said, "that everybody could have a her. Someone like Rachel who fights for people. Because my mom says that's what saved me, not just the medicine. The people who cared enough to help us get it." Sarah pulled her daughter close, breathing in the scent of hospital soap and strawberry shampoo and blessed, ordinary life. Emma was right. We all need a her. Someone who sees our struggle and refuses to let us face it alone. Someone who understands that the greatest power we possess isn't wealth or influence or strength, but simply this: the choice to care, to act, to believe that every life matters enough to fight for. And maybe, if we're very lucky and very brave, we get to be that person for someone else. We get to be the her who changes everything, who transforms impossible into possible, who proves that love isn't just a feeling but an action, a decision, a revolution of small kindnesses that add up to miracles. That's what humanity looks like at its finest. Not perfect, not without pain, but showing up anyway, reaching out anyway, believing anyway. One person at a time, one act of compassion at a time, one life saved at a time, until the darkness finds itself surrounded by light, and hope stops being a luxury and becomes a promise we make and keep together.